Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me for another installment of our series about books and movies. I'm so excited. This one we're gonna move into another series. Um, so of course, another classic. I had to go with the Hunger Games series. This is an ongoing series. Hunger Games was written in '07 by Suzanne Collins. We love her. Um, What's so funny is there was such a spike in this kind of writing around then. I don't know. I know the movie Twilight came out in like '07, '08. Um, but I don't know when the book did because I never read it and the movie didn't, it doesn't look that good. So I haven't seen it. But this book came out in '08. I said '07, I meant '08. I would have been 17, which is would have been right up my alley. But no, but I didn't know about it until the movie came out in 2012. And I read all the books, I watched the movie, and then I watched the next movie, and then so on. And I have read every book since. I cannot wait for the movie to come out this November. It's gonna be great. Um, I want another book. um, I've talked about that. I would love a book from Johanna's perspective. That would be incredible. Also from Tigress' perspective. That would be really interesting to see like what she was up to during all that time. But anyway. Um yeah, so let's get into it. So books. Um so if you don't know the story, it's about a young girl who comes from a rural family area, very, very down home, sort of woodsy area, and she learns to hunt for herself, fight for herself, and then saves her sister by taking her place in this competition to the death that was forced upon children from the ages of 12 to 18 in this story. And chaos ensues. Most of you have at least seen the movies. I will watch the movies and read the books continually. It is so good. Everything is so good about it. Just the sheer size of the whole thing is just amazing. The cast is always stacked. The characters are amazing. The acting was so great because the writing was so great. They fleshed out these characters so well because the characters were fleshed out so well in the book. And I also like that they had Suzanne Collins go in and help with the movies, which we'll get to in a minute. But so let's talk about the proper way to read the story. I feel like it helps you get an idea of the whole thing once you read the ones that had come out originally. If you read Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, and then Sunrise and the Reaping, and then the original three in order. So Hunger Games, Catching Fire, Mockingjay. Just for me, I feel like when I read them that way, it made the story kind of flow. So there is like a flow that goes through it. I mean, you could read Sunrise on the Reaping last because there is a little surprise at the end. I'm not saying anything if you haven't read it. You gotta read it. But it still works because then you see all of these people and then you go into the original story and then it kind of gives you an idea of each character and kind of who they are. And I think that's really cool. So my initial thoughts on the books, I could not put the first one down. I remember just devouring it. Second one, I read even faster. The last one took me longer only because there was so much to it that it was physically more content, but also It kind of has a split, if you will. It's funny that they split the movies the way they split them because the book has a little bit of a split in it in the way I feel at the same point. A lot of times when I stop, I'll stop there. And it just from that split off point, you really see it snowball. And I just think it's the best part. Um, so kind of moving into Suzanne Collins, we who were born, after the 80s will probably know that she wrote Little Bear. I think it was a little bit bigger, a little bit older. I don't really remember exactly. I know knowing about Little Bear, but I think I was a little older. But most of us know, and I didn't realize that she was the one who wrote those. They're so sweet. And then, like, clearly she had so many ideas, and I love the whole aspect of it. Um, so moving into the movies, the first movie came out in 2012, and everybody was talking about it. I remember I wanted to go see it, but I didn't get a chance to see it in the cinema. I went and I had ordered it on pay-per-view, and I just remember sitting there in awe the whole time. It was so, so well done. And what I think is so interesting, what is so much of note, is I didn't read the books first, because like I said, I didn't have access to them, didn't know that they existed. Watched the movie, that first movie, and I went and got all the books, and started reading, and I am not exaggerating when I say every single character in that portion of the story, because that was the only movie that was made at the time. Every single character, like, I could tell what was going on, even though, like, I didn't read any reactions or any backstories. I could sense it and I could feel it, and then when I read it, I didn't feel disconnected. And I think that's what's so important about adapting a book to a movie, is because you have so many different aspects that you need to present in visual instead of in writing, because you can write a whole inner dialogue and a whole like backstory, but you can't do that. You can't speak all that, because then we'd be here forever. But you can show it, and when you show it and it's right, that's what adapts so well. Second book I read before the movie came out, and it was kind of the opposite way. I was reading these books, seeing all these characters, and it just worked so well. And again with the third and the fourth, it just, there could not have been a better group to make this. And what I think is so interesting is it's ongoing now, it's continuing, and I know there's a lot of talk about, and I'm gonna get to that now. A lot of talk about Songbird of Ballads and A Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I'm not a Rachel Zegler fan anymore. I don't really think that she presented herself very well, but I think she did a good job with the character, and I feel like that story brings such a history to the world, and I just think it's interesting. It really brings an interesting concept. I remember reading the book and being confused at first how it was going to work, and it actually ended up being very exciting. I didn't know what was going to happen next, and I just think it went so well. And personally, I think that the character that she played was fine. I think that it went well, And there really doesn't need to be much said about that, just because we don't necessarily care for her other work, or because we don't care for maybe how she handles herself. Personally, I thought it was fine. What are my thoughts on the new one? I think it's going to be great. It seems like they've casted some pretty good people. Seems like the characters are going to be really well represented, and I think we're all going to need some Kleenex when we watch it. I know I was a little upset at the end, and it just, everything all together was very rough. But it was really well written, and it was a great story. I think it was the most compelling of the stories. I wanted to know more, and I just think that's when you really get into a great story. And I think what was so cool going into then the original 3 was, well, what that means that, oh, that means that. And it really brings everything together. And I just think it's so cool to have a story like that. And that one idea just brought this whole world to life, and it's just amazing. And then adapting that to film is going to be so cool. And I will probably watch the movies in that order as well. Same order I read the books, I'll watch the movies. I just think it really does bring so much to it. Obviously, we love the original, we love the story in general, so it's gonna be fine. I mean, I'm not, but I just think that this one is gonna be really special, and I don't know that I'm gonna get to go see it in the cinema. I don't really have anybody who wants to go see it, so I'll probably just pick it up on DVD when it comes out, which is probably gonna come out quick because they're gonna, just like the last one, they're gonna want to get it out there, and so I'm so excited. I can't wait. Definitely gonna keep an eye out for it, and yeah, I'm excited. This one wasn't as long because like I said last episode, I'm trying to get the series so that I can just talk about the series, because doing each book would just be way too short for each. So I want to, keep it at least a little more in depth, and also it doesn't really matter which book in the series you're doing. It matters that the series is being done. So I'm really excited to keep these going, and then we will get more in depth on like individual books after next episode. I have one more of these, and then well, actually 2 more, because there is one more series that I want to talk about. Because there's a lot. So I actually have 2. I lied. There's 2 more weeks of this series 1, and then we're going to go into individual books. So I'm so excited. But make sure you are subscribed. Make sure you are notified every time I upload, the whole thing. Make sure you're commenting down below what are your favorite books, what are your favorite book series, what movies that were made from books do you like, were there any you didn't know about, because there's a couple that I didn't know about, so I'm really excited to read them and then watch the movies and kind of compare the two, talk about it. Yeah, so that's it for this one. It felt so short, but how much more can I praise an amazing series? And also, when it's not completely finished, we have that anticipation. I can't wait. I'm excited. November of this year, we're gonna get to see it. So I'm excited. And I hope you guys are too. And I hope that you will tune into the next video. Bye, guys.